Have you ever noticed that your usual walk to the mailbox takes just a little bit longer than it used to, or that you find yourself staring at your feet to make sure you do not trip over an uneven crack in the sidewalk? It is a subtle change and one that we often brush off as just a normal part of getting older. But what if I told you that the speed of your stride is not just about the strength in your legs? What if the way you walk is actually a window into the future of your brain health? There is a startling statistic that keeps many doctors up at night, which is that by age 70, the average person loses nearly 40% of their muscle mass. But here is the twist. That physical decline often mirrors a silent decline happening inside your mind. Recent groundbreaking research suggests that a specific change in your walking pattern can predict the onset of dementia up to 10 years before the first memory lapse ever occurs. It sounds almost like science fiction, but your gait is like a canary in the coal mine for your cognitive health. Today, we are going to talk about the walk test, and more importantly, we are going to uncover the hidden culprits in your daily routine that might be slowing you down. It might not just be aging that is making your legs feel heavy or your balance feel off. There could be specific daily habits or even foods you consider healthy that are secretly causing inflammation and narrowing the blood vessels that feed both your legs and your brain. But here's the good news. In this conversation, we are going to uncover the top strategies, including specific foods and simple movements that can help you regain your stride and protect your mind. By the end of this time together, you will have a clear roadmap to not only walk faster, but to live sharper and more independently. Before we dive into the science and the solutions, if you care about staying healthy and independent well into your 80s and 90s, consider subscribing to our channel and turning on notifications. We share the kind of senior health tips that standard checkups often overlook, and we are building a community here that supports one another. Speaking of community, let me ask you a question. Are you watching this from the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, or somewhere else entirely? Drop a comment below with where you are from, because I am always curious to see how far our senior health family reaches. It is truly amazing to see us all connected by the same goal of living better. Now, let us get into the heart of the matter. You might be wondering why a doctor would look at your feet to diagnose your brain. It seems disconnected, doesn't it? But think of your body as a highly complex highway system. Your brain is the command center, and your legs are the furthest destination on the map. For you to take a single smooth step, your brain has to process vision specifically where you are going, sensation specifically, what is under your foot, and balance, all while sending lightning fast signals through your spinal cord to your muscles. It is a massive cognitive load. When the brain begins to struggle, specifically in the early stages of decline that we cannot see yet on an MRI, it starts to prioritize. It pulls resources away from motor skills to focus on other things, and the first thing to suffer is your gait. This is why we call walking speed the sixth vital sign. But here is where it gets personal. This slowing down does not happen in a vacuum. It is often fueled by what we put on our plates. This brings us to the first major area we need to address, which is the food that might be acting like a brake pedal on your mobility. The first item on our list of things to watch out for is something that seems so innocent and refreshing, especially on a hot day, and that is fruit juice, specifically store-bought orange or apple juice. You might be thinking, wait a minute, isn't fruit good for me? Here is the science. While whole fruit is wonderful because of the fiber, when you strip away that fiber and drink just the juice, you are essentially drinking liquid sugar. For a senior body, which is already becoming a bit more resistant to insulin, this causes a massive spike in blood sugar. When your blood sugar spikes, it causes a reaction called glycation. Imagine pouring sticky syrup into a finely tuned engine. That sugar binds to proteins in your blood and creates harmful molecules that damage the lining of your blood vessels. This is critical because your legs rely on tiny blood vessels to get oxygen. If those vessels are damaged by sugar spikes, your muscles literally starve for air, which leads to that heavy, leaden feeling in your legs. And over time, this same vascular damage happens in the brain. So instead of that morning glass of juice, try eating the whole orange, or better yet, switch to a glass of water with a squeeze of lemon. You get the flavor without the sugar crash, and your blood vessels will thank you. Moving on to the next dietary factor, we need to talk about refined vegetable oils like soybean oil, corn oil, and sunflower oil. These are hiding in almost every processed food on the shelf, from salad dressings to crackers. The problem here is inflammation. These oils are incredibly high in omega-6 fatty acids. Now, we need some omega-6 seconds, but in the modern diet, we get way too much. When the balance is off, it triggers a firestorm of inflammation throughout your body. For someone over 60, inflammation is the enemy of mobility. It is what makes your knees stiff in the morning, and it is what causes brain fog. Think of inflammation like a rusty hinge. If your internal hinges are rusty, moving becomes hard and painful. When you consume these oils, you are adding rust to the system. The fix is simple but powerful. Swap out those industrial seed oils for extra virgin olive oil. Olive oil is like high quality grease for that rusty hinge. It contains oleocanthal, which is a natural anti-inflammatory compound that rivals ibuprofen. Just making this one switch can help soothe your joints and improve blood flow to your brain. Now, let us talk about a habit that many of us have developed over decades, which is the reliance on processed meats like bacon, ham, and deli slices for lunch. I know it is convenient and tasty, but these meats are often loaded with nitrates and excessive sodium. Sodium is a double-edged sword. You need some, but too much acts like a sponge holding water in your body. This increases your blood pressure, which puts strain on the delicate vessels in your brain and legs. But the nitrates are even more concerning. They can interfere with your body's ability to process sugar and can damage the endothelium, which is the inner lining of your blood vessels. When that lining is damaged, your arteries stiffen. Stiff arteries mean your heart has to work harder to pump blood down to your legs, making walking feel like an exhausting uphill battle, even on flat ground. Imagine trying to push water through a stiff, narrow pipe versus a flexible, wide hose. You want your arteries to be that flexible hose. Instead of the deli meat, try roasting a turkey breast or a chicken on Sunday and slicing it yourself for the week. It is a small effort that saves your arteries a massive amount of stress. If you thought that was surprising, the next one may shock you because it is often marketed as a healthy alternative. We are talking about low-fat flavored yogurts. We often reach for these thinking we are doing our bones a favor with the calcium. However, most flavored low-fat yogurts are sugar bombs in disguise. To make up for the lack of fat, manufacturers pump them full of sugar or artificial sweeteners to make them palatable. We have already talked about what sugar does, but let us look at artificial sweeteners. Some studies suggest that these sweeteners can disrupt your gut microbiome. Your gut communicates directly with your brain through the vagus nerve. A disrupted gut can lead to systemic inflammation that affects your mood, your cognition, and yes, your physical stamina. If you love yogurt, opt for plain full-fat Greek yogurt. The fat is actually good for your brain, which is 60% fat anyway, and you can sweeten it yourself with a handful of fresh berries. Speaking of berries, this brings us to the positive side of the equation. It is not enough to just remove the bad stuff. We have to flood your body with the right fuel to repair the damage. This is where we can take a page from the book of Food as Medicine. One of the absolute best things you can eat to improve your walking speed and brain health is leafy greens, specifically spinach, arugula, and beets. Yes, I know beets are a root vegetable, but they work in the same magical way. These foods are rich in dietary nitrates, which your body converts into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a miracle molecule for seniors. It signals your blood vessels to relax and widen. Remember that narrow pipe analogy? Nitric oxide turns the pipe into a superhighway. This means more oxygen-rich blood rushes to your legs, giving you more power in your stride, and simultaneously more blood rushes to your brain, keeping your memory sharp. A study actually showed that older adults who drank beet juice before walking walked faster and felt less fatigue. It is like high-octane fuel for your body. Try adding a handful of arugula to your lunch or roasting some beets for dinner. You might notice that you have a bit more pep in your step the very next day. Next on our list of heroes are walnuts. Walnuts are fascinating because they actually look like tiny brains, and nature is giving us a hint there. They are packed with omega-3 fatty acids, specifically a type called ALA. Omega-3 seconds are the building blocks of brain cells. They keep the cell membranes flexible so that signals can pass through quickly. If you want your brain to communicate with your legs instantly so you do not stumble, you need plenty of omega-3 seconds. Plus, they help lower that inflammation we talked about earlier. Incorporating just a small handful of walnuts into your daily snack is a habit that pays dividends. Imagine your nerves being coated in a protective layer that ensures every signal is crisp and clear. That is what walnuts do for you. I want to pause here for just a second. If you are finding these tips useful so far, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps spread the word to other seniors who might be struggling with these same issues, and it lets me know that I am on the right track with the content you need. And if you have not yet, do subscribe, because we are just getting started on this list, and the practical exercise coming up is a game changer. Now, let us shift gears from food to the mechanism of the walk test itself. You might be wondering how you can test this at home. You do not need a lab coat or a treadmill. The test that predicts dementia risk is often called the dual task gait test. Here is how it works. First, you walk at your normal pace across the room. Easy, right? Now, try walking that same distance while counting backward from 100 by sevens. So 100, 93, 86, and so on. Or try naming as many animals as you can while you walk. What happens? Do you slow down significantly? Do you have to stop walking to find the next number? If you stop walking to think it is a sign that your brain is having trouble managing two tasks at once, this is called cognitive motor interference. In a healthy, resilient brain, you should be able to walk and talk, or walk and think, without a major drop in speed. If you notice a big difference, it is a wake-up call. But do not panic. It is a signal that we need to strengthen that brain-body connection. This brings us to the physical side of our strategy. You cannot fix this with diet alone. You have to move, but you have to move smartly. The biggest mistake seniors make is thinking they need to just walk more to get better at walking. While walking is good, we need to build the engine that powers the walk. That means strength. We need to focus on your glutes and your quads. These are the powerhouse muscles that propel you forward. As we age, we tend to lose power here, which leads to that shuffling gait where we barely lift our feet. To counteract this, I want to introduce you to a simple move called the sit to stand. You can do this right now while you are watching. Sit in a sturdy chair with your feet flat on the floor. Cross your arms over your chest. Now, without using your hands for momentum, lean forward slightly and stand up, pushing through your heels. Then slowly control your descent back into the chair. Do not flop down. The magic happens on the way down. This simple motion builds the exact muscles you need to walk with confidence and speed. Aim for 10 of these a day. It sounds too simple to be true, but if you can master the sit to stand, you are effectively proofing your body against falls and frailty. Another critical component often overlooked is ankle mobility. Many seniors walk stiffly because their ankles have locked up over the years. If your ankles do not flex, you cannot push off the ground effectively. You end up lifting your whole leg from the hip, which is exhausting. Try this while you are brushing your teeth. Lift your toes up toward your shins, then press them down like a ballerina. Roll your ankles in circles. Keeping those joints lubricated means your foot strikes the ground properly, sending better sensory information up to your brain. It is a small habit, but it keeps the mechanical chain of walking smooth. Let us talk about hydration for a moment, because it connects everything we have discussed. As we age, our sense of thirst diminishes. We can be chronically dehydrated without even knowing it. When you are dehydrated, your blood volume drops. Thicker blood is harder to pump to the legs and harder to push through the tiny capillaries in the brain. This leads to dizziness and that feeling of unsteadiness. Many falls happen simply because a senior was dehydrated, stood up too fast, and got dizzy. Make it a rule to drink a glass of water right when you wake up. Your body has gone 8 hours without fluid. Give it that morning shower from the inside out to get everything flowing. You might be surprised at how much clearer your head feels and how much lighter your legs feel just from being properly hydrated. I also want to touch on something that might feel a bit unsettling to learn. We often think of walking issues as purely structural, like a bad knee or a bad hip, but sometimes it is fear. The fear of falling can actually cause you to fall. When we are afraid, we tense up. We look down at our feet instead of looking ahead. This changes our posture, shifting our center of gravity forward, which actually makes us more unstable. It is a vicious cycle. To break this, we need to practice what is called confident walking. When you are in a safe environment, like a hallway, practice looking up. Fix your eyes on a target at eye level, not at the floor. Engage your core slightly and take deliberate heel to toe steps. Tell yourself, I am strong. I am stable. This mental cueing actually helps override the fear center in the brain and engages the motor cortex more effectively. And this brings us to a lifestyle factor that is the silent guardian of your brain health, which is sleep. You might think, what does sleep have to do with walking? Everything. During deep sleep, your brain has a system called the glymphatic system, which acts like a dishwasher. It floods the brain with fluid and washes away metabolic waste, including the amyloid plaques associated with Alzheimer's. If you are not sleeping well, that waste builds up. A toxic brain is a slow brain, and a slow brain leads to a slow walk. If you are struggling with sleep, look at your evening routine. Are you watching the news right before bed and getting anxious? Are you drinking caffeine too late? Try to create a wind-down ritual. Maybe it is a warm cup of chamomile tea or reading a pleasant book. Protecting your sleep is protecting your ability to walk and think clearly 10 years from now. So let us recap, because we have covered a lot of ground today. To keep your stride strong and your brain sharp, we need to avoid the sugar spikes from juices and processed yogurts that inflame our vessels. We need to cut down on the industrial seed oils and processed meats that stiffen our arteries. Instead, we want to embrace the nitrates in leafy greens and beets to open up those blood vessels, and the omega-3 seconds in walnuts to insulate our nerves. We need to stay hydrated to keep our blood volume up, and we need to practice strength moves like the sit to stand to keep our engines powerful. And finally, we need to test ourselves occasionally with that dual task walking to make sure our brain and body are still talking to each other effectively. It might feel a bit overwhelming to hear all of this at once. You might be thinking, I have been eating ham sandwiches and drinking juice for 40 years. Is it too late for me? Let me look you in the eye and tell you this. It is never too late to make a change. The human body is incredibly resilient. It is always fighting to heal itself. It just needs you to give it the right tools. Even if you only change one thing this week, maybe you swap the juice for water or do 5 sit-to-stands while watching TV, that is a victory. That is a step toward a future where you are the one deciding where you go and how fast you get there. Imagine walking out your front door on a beautiful spring morning. The air is crisp and you feel steady. You are not looking at your feet. You are looking at the trees, the sky, the neighbors. You feel a spring in your step and your mind feels clear and bright. You are confident that you can walk to the park, play with your grandkids, or just explore your neighborhood without fear. That is the reality that is waiting for you. It is not a fantasy. It is the result of the small choices you make starting today. Growing older is inevitable, but becoming frail is not. Growing older does not mean giving up. It means using smarter strategies. I know getting older is hard. The aches, the pains, the worry about losing your independence, it can be scary and sometimes it feels lonely. But please remember, you are not alone in this. We are all in this boat together navigating these changes. Every small step you take, every better food choice, every conscious movement is strengthening your legs and securing your freedom. One meal, one step at a time, you are taking charge of your health, and that is a powerful thing. Now, I would love to hear from you. Which of these tips surprised you the most? Was it the pineapple or the juice, or perhaps the connection between walking and math? Do you have any personal experiences with trying to improve your walking speed? Share your story or any questions in the comments below. I read every single one, and we all learn so much from each other's experiences. Your tip might be the exact thing someone else needs to read today to find hope. If this video helped you or opened your eyes even a little, please hit the like button. It means a lot to me personally, and it helps YouTube show this video to other seniors who need this information. And do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on important health insights that could improve your life. We have plenty more science-backed tips for thriving in your golden years, because your health and your independence are worth fighting for. If you are still with me and you are determined to stay strong and keep moving forward, type the number 1 in the comments to affirm it. Let us see a wall of ones down there to show how strong this community really is. Stay strong, stay healthy, and remember, your independence is carried by your legs, so treat them well. Keep taking those small steps for your health, because they add up to giant strides in your freedom. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.